Guys, 80% of people experience moderate to high stress every single day. Very few of us are equipped to handle that. So in this video, I'm going to teach you and discuss with you how to minimize stress and anxiety without having to go to the gym. First, I want to explain to you how stress affects our body and give you a little bit of a background on what it's actually doing. We have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. So cortisol, adrenaline, those things through the roof when we're stressed. The parasympathetic nervous system, that's rest and relaxation. So that's when we're more relaxed, we're more chill, we're resting, we're recovering. That's when our body can grow, nourish, recover. Now the main causes of stress are money, work, relationships, triggering emails in the morning. Our kids are fighting in the back seat and we're yelling at them and we're freaking out and everything's going crazy.
Get back there! Taking enough guff from you for one day. Raving psycho.
And you're just stewing in it the rest of the day. It sucks. You're angry. You're pissed at the world. That triggers our fight or flight response. Now the physical responses to stress could be a number of things, right? It could be trouble sleeping. It could be digestive issues. It could be low libido. It could be sadness. It could be depression. It could be lack of motivation, headaches, a lot of things. Now when it's chronic, when it sits with us for a long time, we can have disease. We can have panic attacks. We can have, some of us are prone to substance abuse, overeating, constant worry. So these are ways to know if you are feeling chronically stressed. And if that's the case, then you might be in fight or flight, which means that your hormones in your body are under a pretty big onslaught. So let's jump into the top ways to minimize the negative effects of stress. So first, deep breathing, deep breath work. Breath work goes a long way from taking us from high fight or flight situation to a rest and recovery. It triggers what's called the vagus nerve. Now the vagus nerve is a part of our nervous system that lowers our heart rate, lowers blood pressure, cortisol. So again, going from here to here. There's some studies that show just as little as like 10 deep breaths can have a huge effect on bringing us out of fight or flight into rest and recovery. Next, journaling. Journaling can have a huge impact. There's a lot of studies and research that supports journaling. In fact, gratitude journaling specifically. So when we're sitting there and we're listing out and we're writing in our notebook and we're talking, 3 to 5 things that we're grateful for and why, when we're in a state of gratitude, and again, there's research that supports this, when we're in a state of gratitude, it actually triggers dopamine. So journaling also allows us to be present, allows us to be in the moment, allows us to get out of our head, get our thoughts onto paper, stop focusing and worrying about what's happening down the road, what's been happening in the past, allows us to be present. And that's where the magic really comes in with journaling, especially gratitude journaling. So get present with what you're grateful for, why you're grateful. This is by far my favorite, probably the least popular, but cold plunge or doing some sort of cold shower. I do this every day. Now there's a lot of research that shows even doing up to 11 or 12 minutes a week has a huge effect on our resiliency and our adaptive nature to stress. So not only does it take you out of fight or flight, put you in rest and relaxation, but it actually helps you become more adaptive to stress, meaning that same guy that cuts you off next time, you're all of a sudden just going to feel less triggered by it. You're just going to not be as reactive to stress. So it's going to have less of a negative impact metabolically and hormonally. There's a 2018 study of a British woman, 24 years old, who after 4 months of doing cold water swimming each day, actually got off her medication for anxiety and depression. So take that for what it's worth. Next, we have what's called forest bathing. Now this is a term that was made famous by the Japanese, and that's exactly what it means. It means really getting outside and walking in nature and taking in the forest through your senses. Now this is not exercise, it's not hiking, jogging, it's nothing that's going to get the heart rate up necessarily. It's merely being in nature, being connected, being present. It's experiencing the world through our senses, through sight, through smell, through sounds, through touch, connecting with the natural world around us. Again, all coming back to being present. A lot of research that shows this takes us, again, out of like a high stress state to naturally lower rest and relaxation. The next one is not so much backed by science or research, but merely just something that I practice myself that really in any moment, you can do this at any time, has had a huge impact just on my perspective. From my experience, perspective has a plays a huge role in how we experience all these things. It's why some people are triggered by things and some people aren't. For me, zooming out from my world, my environment, has made a huge impact. So for example, I'm in this room now, I'm looking at this screen. If I zoom out, I'm simply in a room in a house. If I zoom out further, I'm in a house that's in this neighborhood. Zoom out further, I'm in a neighborhood that's in this town, that's in this county, that's in this state, that's in this country, that's in this planet, that's in this solar system, and you get the picture. By doing that, for me, it's allowed me to see myself about this big in the grand scheme of things, which for me is very freeing because it reiterates that my problems aren't that big a deal, that stressors aren't that big a deal, that whatever I find myself consumed by, worried about, is not that big a deal. So use that as a practice, try it out, zoom out, get perspective. Your problems aren't probably that big a deal. Your stress and anxiety maybe isn't that big a deal. Maybe it is, I don't know. But the key is having some sort of habits and routine. So if you have trouble creating habits and routines, I would definitely suggest this video that I'll tag here. It's all about creating routine structure for your month, week, year, day, all of that. So check that out. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you at the next video.